folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man in his Kevlar kilt. Yes, and his bulletproof vest. Kilt-Man at your service. Bobby folks. Today, I'm sporting the Anderson. The lovely, the gorgeous, the resplendent Anderson kilt. Very vivid, lots of blue, sort of like aqua, turquoise type colours. Very bright. Anyway, I didn't bring you all here to talk about kilts. Oh no. I brought you here to talk about John Wick, the Baba Yaga, the bogeyman, the assassin of assassins, the man that no army can kill. Keanu Reeves, his finest hour, his finest character. Forget Point Break, forget The Matrix. John Wick, he's been born to play this character. It's a complete and utter comic book, ridiculous, so OTT and outrageous sort of concept. It's a world of assassins, in which pretty much everybody is an assassin. You don't see any cops, you don't see any law, any authorities. There's just hidden crime organisations which kind of rule the world. And as we learn in John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, I'll come on to chapters 1 and 2 as a bit of a sort of get you up to speed sort of thing in a moment. But basically the entire world is run by the High Table. And the High Table is like an assassin's guild which has been going for centuries, millennia probably. You learn a little bit about the background of that. Not too much. Because director Chad Stahelski, who's done the first, well, he's done all 3 films, and he'll be doing Chapter 4, no doubt, because rest assured, there'll be another instalment of John Wick. And he likes to keep a little bit of mystery involved in all this kind of weird skullduggery, a world of just gunplay, balletic, ballistics, and gun fu. Keanu Reeves nails the role entirely as an assassin who, with the love of a good woman, it's always a good woman. Some of us want the love of a bad woman, And he falls in love with her, he gets married, she dies of cancer. He gets a puppy, this is the first movie, he gets a puppy, and little sadistic Alfie Allen doesn't know who John Wick is, not only steals his car, but kills his puppy dog. So John Wick comes out of retirement and goes on a fucking vendetta rampage, taking out fucking leagues of bad guys, scores of henchmen, enforcers, bodyguards, armies of goons, with his famous, whatever he does, he runs around like that the whole time. And everyone he gets, he'll end up like fist fighting with them and doing complete takedowns and rolls and stuff. Never forgets about the guy he's holding because he'll just put a bullet in the head. And the guy who's wounded over there, he might take out these 3 guys here. He won't forget about him. He's going to turn that, fucking blow his brains out as well. Get in there. John Wick, consistency with a gun. And so, at the end of John Wick, the first movie, which was a surprise hit, no one knew it was going to become the phenomenon that it did become. But with Keanu Reeves' fantastic screen presence and charisma, yeah, I said that. Keanu Reeves, the guy that was in Bram Stoker's Dracula, with the worst English accents ever. Bloody wolves chasing me through some blue inferno! It's just awful. But the guy has come into his own. He's 54 now, maybe even a bit more, doing practically all of his own stunts. Not the stuff where he's getting hit by cars, which happens a lot. He seems to have unbreakable bones, this guy. He'll get shot, stabbed, all sorts of things. But he does get injured, that's the point, he does get injured. So, what's he up to in this rambling, helter-skelter, roller coaster ride of a review, of which there'll be plenty of spoilers. Be warned, plenty of spoilers. So, at the end of John Wick 1, he's cleared his debt, he's paid everybody back. But then, of course, another guy comes into it. Again, everyone's connected. They've all done jobs for each other. They're all assassins. They're all a different pecking order of this hierarchy of assassins. And Santano, whatever his name is, puts a mark on his own sister at the High Table because he wants his sister's position at the High Table. So he enlists John Wick, who owes him a debt, blood debt, to go and kill his sister. This is John Wick Chapter 2. In so doing, John Wick is now fully employed again. But when he does kill her, he actually commits suicide, but he still, because he's got to kill her, puts a bullet in her head. And Common, ex-rapper, now ace movie star, Common, plays her she was his ward, so he's indebted to this woman who's been killed. So even though him and John Wick are like brothers sort of thing, they are now pitched against each other, so they've got to go after each other. And it's a huge duel which takes in different cities and absolute blood-curdling mayhem, bone-crunching violence, and some great satirical lines as well. But at the end of John Wick Chapter 2, John Wick, against all the rules of the Assassin's Guild, of the High Table, because you have all these hotels set up in every city, and they're all called the Continental, where all the assassins go. And he used their little assassin's coins to pay for stuff. And but the cardinal rule is no business can be performed on the Continental grounds. Sometimes you can't kill anyone there or fight anyone, just don't do it. But against all these rules and policies and procedures, John Wick marches in. After killing hundreds of people, he marches in to go and kill the guy who enlisted him for this job, who's basically set him up as well. And Ian McShane, who runs the New York Continental, the great Ian McShane. Jonathan, whatever you're about to do, don't do it. Jonathan, I urge you. Mr. Wick, have you tried the food here, says Santini. You could stay here for a long time and never have the same meal twice. John Wick shoots him. Shut the fuck up. Shoots him right between the eyes. Bump. Oh, Jonathan, what have you done? Jonathan, what have you done? So, that's the end of John Wick Chapter 2, because what has to happen now, because he's committed the cardinal sin of committing murder on Continental grounds, poor old Ian McShane has to, because it's his hotel and the rules are rules, he has to order a hit, an open contract on John Wick of, I think it's 14 million at the time. That will go up as the movie progresses to stratospheric numbers of millions. And because he's a friend of John's, he said, John, you've got an hour. So John, with his new dog, hits the streets. So John Wick Chapter 3 opens just minutes after Chapter 2 finishes. John Wick is on the streets of New York. Everywhere he looks, people are getting the phone call. Like, you've got an hour. And then, because assassins are everywhere. The down and outs, a woman pushing a pram, traffic warden, train driver. It doesn't matter. The assassins are literally everywhere. And it's a strange, mythical kind of urban world that he's created, Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves. But this movie peels back a few more layers of the enigmatic character that is John Wick. We learn about his Russian background, where he trained. Now, shades of Suspiria here. Angelica Houston plays the mistress in charge of a dance academy in New York, a Russian dance academy. But it's a bit of a front, because all the people are getting trained in martial arts and weapons, and they're training an up and coming generation of assassins. And John Wick served his time there. Gendarme, as he's known, Gendarme Wickeros, something like that. Excuse me one moment, because I almost forgot this. To you, Keanu, awesomeness. So this then becomes an all-out war where everybody is after John Wick. John Wick has only got one choice now. He has to find the elder, the guy in charge of the High Table, and try and make his peace and say, look, what? I did what I had to do, but whatever you want me to do, I'll do it to get this fucking contract off me. And that will take him to Casablanca. It will take him out into the deserts of Morocco, and he will meet the elder, who's actually, in reality, younger than Keanu Reeves, but, and then he will make a sacrifice. He'll sacrifice one of his fingers, yeah, and agree to take out Winston. Winston, played by Ian McShane, his buddy, Winston, at the Continental Hotel. That's to show his allegiance to the High Table. Take out Winston, because a lot of things have happened now, and Winston is rocking the boat a little bit. The High Table have sent out the Adjudicator, who was an androgynous female, played by, in reality, a girl whose name I've forgotten, but she identifies herself as non-binary. So whenever she talks about herself, they did this, they did that. She's not one individual. Isn't it strange? But she's great, with a sort of pixie little crew cut type hairdo. And kind of sexy and erotic, and yet kind of androgynous at the same time. And she will go around and she's going to threaten pretty much everybody who's helped John Wick in the second installment, who's helped him get away. who's furnished him with weapons or patched up his wounds. So they've all got to, like, you know, blood for blood. You're going to pay the price for helping him. There you go. So Angelica Houston will have a samurai sword through her hands. Lawrence Fishburne, reunited with Keanu Reeves after the Matrix movies, who's the king of the Bowery, who uses pigeons, doesn't use the internet, he uses pigeons to get messages around, you know, and all the down and outs are his recruits, and they're all highly trained assassins as well. But the word on the street literally is the word on the street. Nothing ever happens without him knowing it. But because he helped John Wick as well, he gave John Wick 7 bullets at the end of chapter 2. So he must suffer 7 cuts. But, you know, John Wick will battle his way through Casablanca to the Elder. He will make this deal. He will then go back to New York. He will then go to see Winston. But he ain't going to kill Winston. And as the adjudicator turns up, Winston, are you going to step down from your position here in charge of the Continental New York? I don't think I will. Mr. Wick, are you going to kill this man? I don't think I will. Right. War it is then. So they send in fucking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of goons, and a massive shootout takes place. We've met the concierge of the Continental in 3 movies now. And I forget who plays him as well, doesn't matter. But his name is Sharon. We only find out his name is Sharon in this movie. And he's always been immaculately dressed and turned out. And he's looked after John Wick's dog in each movie, you know, while John Wick goes on all these urban adventures. And he will finally lock and load, and the two of them will go on a massive defensive rampage. And it's just excellent stuff. This film catapults Hollywood action movies to a whole new level. John Wick Chapter 1 did. It was just relentless. You couldn't believe the body count in it. John Wick Chapter 2 went beyond all that. And it wasn't just the gunplay, it's the stabbings, it's the beatings, it's the martial arts, the tumbling down steps, hit by cars, the amazing stunt work, people being dragged behind cars and slammed into walls. It was just absolute blood-curdling mayhem on a huge, huge scale. Where could they go with Chapter 3? Well, taking influence from Gareth Evans' The Raid and, you know, Raid 2, they just make every action sequence 10 minutes longer than it ever could possibly have been before. And they just prolong everyone. Every bit of act of violence is horrific. John Wick, in the first few minutes, he's had a chase on horseback. He ends up with the fucking guys on motorbikes after him. And he's shooting them, he's hanging off the horse, shooting underneath the horse and blowing heads off these motorcyclists. He ends up he's unarmed, but he ends up in a gun museum, a firearms museum. And in shades of Sergio Leone's classic The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, where Eli Wallach, playing Tuco, who was the ugly, picks up guns and he builds his own gun. He listens, click, 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 puts new chambers in it, takes it apart, puts another one in, click, 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 finds the gun that he really wants. John Wick does the same thing. He finds old 18th century weapons, revolvers, 6-shooters, gets some ammunition, smashing the glass to get the guns out, doesn't fit, going to have to get another chamber. So he rebuilds a gun to get one shot in, to shoot one guy who's been coming up the stairs the whole time, blow his fucking brains out. They turn a corner, other goons are after him, and all of a sudden they're in a corridor filled with glass cases of bladed weapons, axes, knives, swords, daggers, you name it, scythes, oh Jesus. And so begins one of the most relentlessly horrific and wince-inducing battles that you're ever going to see. And it's done so tightly choreographed, so intricately moved and directed. A lot of one-take stuff, you know, so there's no Jason Bourne shaky cam stuff and fast edits where you're like, what the fuck's going on, I can't tell. This, you can see everything, sometimes to the point where you don't want to see any more. And that sequence culminates in a classic moment where he's cut and stabbed, he's been stabbed himself, and he's took down everybody in a blood-curdling, you know, bedlam of carnage. And in a long shot, you see what one guy in the foreground slumped against the wall, and he's got a sword stuck through him, and he's like, oh, he takes the sword out like that. But what you see in the background is Keanu Reeves getting up, picks up an axe, fucking lashes it, and this guy just goes, axe in his head. Whoa, fucking brains are coming out. It's just, and you just go, oh! You scream, you wince, you laugh in equal measure. Because it's so OTT, it's ridiculous, but they have suits that are lined with Kevlar. This is how they're able to, withstand a lot of, bullet hits and impacts and knife strikes. And, it's stitched into the lining of the suits. It's make-believe, but it's great. It's great stuff. And John Wick is an expert with every weapon known to man. When he goes out to Casablanca, because Angelica Houston, again, because he's part of this Russian crime fraternity, and he's got all these medallions and things which like, you owe me a chance of survival, one chance. So she gets him out of the country and gets into Casablanca. The idea being to go and meet this elder, but the elder is out in the desert. So not only he's gonna have to fight through Casablanca as well, where he meets Jerome Flynn, the great Jerome Flynn, Bronn from Game of Thrones, and master of coin and brothels. But he meets Halle Berry, gorgeous girl, not the world's greatest actress, and although she acquits herself really well in this, she's still a lousy actress. But, and this is the great thing, he's connected to Sophia. Sophia runs the Continental in Casablanca, and she has 2 attack dogs with bulletproof vests on. These films always revolve around dogs in some way. Dogs play a huge part in it. The whole thing was kickstarted because of the loss of a dog. Then he gains another dog, and the dog is always a central part of his modus operandi, why he does what he does. Sophia, is it Sophia? Who's the Halle Berry character? She owes him as well, because you learn he helped her daughter get away from this life, and he set her up somewhere. You only hear this snippet. You don't know where she is, and Halle Berry doesn't want to know because she's afraid that if she does find out, she'll go after it and bring this horrible world back to her doorstep. So she owes him, but she has these 2 attack dogs. They go and see Jerome Flynn, who's another high table bit of hierarchy in Casablanca, and they're trying to get details out of him. And of course, he said, well, if I'm going to give you this, I want something from you. I want one of your dogs. And she's like, no, you're not going to have that. She goes, okay, if I can't have your dog, nor can you. Bang, shoots the dog. But it's wearing a bulletproof vest. So anyway, she goes mad, shot my dog. And of course, Keanu Reeves as John Wick knows all about that. He goes, I know, I get it. But they then shoot him to bits. The dogs go, because the dog gets up, it's got a bulletproof vest on. And the 2 of them, Halle Berry and these 2 dogs, have the same abilities as John Wick. So what begins then is a good 15-minute battle sequence through the Casbah, They're taking out hundreds of goons, and these dogs are leaping out of nowhere and taking people out. And for those of you who are dog lovers, like me, the husky's not around at the moment, but she's here somewhere, training probably, eating 9mm bullets and spitting them back out. With Kevlar lined fare. Well, don't worry, these dogs don't get, that dog that gets shot gets up again. It's got a bulletproof vest on, And they take down goons, they go for the bollocks, they go for the groin, and they shred people's groins off. They leap out of nowhere, they climb up walls and take off sentries on tops of battlements. Oh, fuck me. It's just... Folks, I sit and watch these films, and I went alone to watch this. I went alone to see it. My son loves it, but he couldn't go. So I went, and there's a few other people dotted around. It was a morning showing, and all throughout the film, and it's a long film, it's over 2 hours, I was like, why? Oh, huh! I can't sit still. I'm running with John Wick, who's wounded. I'm running alongside him. I've got an imaginary gun. I'm going, it's just, I can't sit still. I can't. I defy anyone to sit still while this kind of action is played out in front of you. If you're a gung-ho character, like Kilt-Man, you must be involved in it too. God, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So it will culminate in a big battle in the Continental where all of a sudden the adjudicator sends in all these hundreds of high table troops, the best in the business. Only they're not, are they? They're just cannon fodder. But they're dressed in bulletproof gear and they've got fucking helmets on with bulletproof visors. So during the first wave of attack, John Wick realises I can only fucking kill him by shooting him in the throat. It's the one weak bit. So he gets one and he's like in the throat. Oh fuck me? And then they go back, and then like Sharon, who's the concierge, goes, okay, time to go armor piercing. So they get these shotguns with armor piercing cartridges, and heads are getting blown off left, right, and centre. Oh, it's just fucking a luxurious bloodbath of absolute wanton slaughter. And it's addictive. It's totally addictive. There's a bit where the films have always had moments where a knife is poised and like John Wick's fighting someone and like that, and they push it onto each other, like, you know, or use a knee to drive it in. And it's just clever stuff. All the fights are intricate, but there's a sequence in this with shades of zombie flesh eaters. Remember the zombie flesh eaters, the classic grungy zombie movie from 1979, and the splinter in the eye. There is a knife. John Wick's got a knife to a guy's eye, and he's like, his eyes, and you think, no, it's got to cut away. It's got to cut away, and he doesn't even do it slowly. He just goes and just drives it in. Optic juice flying everywhere and squelchy eyeball. Oh, kebab. Man, I love it. I love this senseless, wanton violence. He kills a guy with a book. Remember in Jason Bourne, the Bourne Supremacy. Yeah, Bourne Supremacy. He has a massive... No, hang on. Might be Bourne Ultimate. I can't know which one it is now. Uses the book and he's punching the book to hit the guy in the face. It's Bourne Ultimatum, sorry. John Wick has a fight very early on in a library with a guy who's about 8 feet tall, and he uses a book. They fight all around the place, but he ends up using a book which, but far more effectively and far more brutally than Jason Bourne ever did. He does the punch the back of the book, you know, into the face, does that, but then he gets the guy at the back of the chair, he gets the book in his mouth, he curbs him, you know, shatters the guy's jaw, and then there's a massive badoosh on his head with the book like balanced there, and just crushes his head, breaks his spine. Like, what? He uses horses as weapons. You know, it runs into a stables, and as the henchmen all surround him, he'll pat the horse, and the back legs shoot out. Boom, boom, oh, double kick, fucking taking heads off. Oh my god, hoofed, literally. He even ties a rope to saddle him on, rides a horse out into the streets of New York, dragging a guy behind him, and then he gets slammed into a fucking wall. Bone crunching. Oh, riding the horse down the bridge. He'll have another chase coming back where he's on a motorbike and these other guys are on bikes with him with samurai swords. They're getting catapulted all over the place. They're going through car windscreens. They're hitting other cars. Oh, they're getting driven over by their own mates on bikes. We've got the great Mark Dacascos. Who he? You say, who he? Crying Freeman. Drive, and of course the fantastic film Les Packs de Loup, Brotherhood of the Wolf, one of my favourite films of all time, where Mark Dacascos, who's a Hawaiian-born martial artist, he's now got to be in his 50s as well, and he plays Manny, this Indian this Indian scout mystic who happens to know a hell of a lot of martial arts as well. So his battle sequences are fucking awesome, but I knew he was in it, but didn't recognise him at first. His head completely shaved, and he plays the adjudicator's head henchman. Doesn't use a gun. He uses his fists, his feet, and samurai swords. He kills plenty, and he and John Wick. And he's a big fan of John Wick. You know, at one moment they're sitting there in the Continental, and just gentlemen, just calm down for it. Just sit down, because you can fight outside the Continental, but once you get in the Continental, you can't fight. And the New York Continental is causing a lot of shit already. It's the high table. And they're sitting there and really playing against character. Mark Dacascos, who's normally very taciturn and serious, he's just like, John Wick, you're a legend. They've been chasing each other and fighting already. He's like, I just want you to know, I followed everything you do, and you're better in real life. Oh, it's an honour to fight you, sir. It's an honour. And these two guys will have an epic brawl through the glass house. This is all like glass cases, and they're getting catapulted through it. Walls of glass and mirrors. You know, it's a bit like Enter the Dragon sort of thing. And we had that in John Wick Chapter 2 in a hall of mirrors as well. It was like a big art exhibition. But it's even better in this. It goes on for even longer and longer and longer. The fight scenes are so protracted, but so eminently watchable, full of intricacies. The way that John Wick he runs out of bullets, but you've got a guy like that, flip out the magazine, get look, or take a weapon off someone else to shoot that one, then him. It's so full, jam-packed, full of little bits to watch and watch again. The moves are so intricate, so balletic, so brutal. The takedowns are just incredible. There isn't just the gunplay. Dog has arrived. It isn't just the gunplay, which is phenomenal in itself, but it's the choreography of the fighting. Headbutts, elbows, close-in stuff, kicking the shins of your opponent. And it just goes on. But the dialogue is very sparse. And Keanu Reeves can't have much more than 10 lines in this. And it usually just means, yeah. I mean, a perfect case in point would be in John Wick Chapter 2, where him and Common have already battled and brawled through the streets of Italy. And they end up crashing through the window into the Italian, the Roman Continental Hotel, run by the great Franco Nero. Yeah, Django himself, Franco Nero. Gentlemen, may I remind you, no business can be conducted on the Continental grounds. May I suggest the bar? So these two now bitter enemies stand up, but in a great moment of sparse dialogue, John Wick turns to Common and just goes, "Gin, right?" And he turns around to him and goes, "Bourbon." John Wick, "Yeah." It's just that. And the two of them, after fighting all over the show, shooting each other, will have a little drink together, but they will still have to go and fight again once they leave the premises. It's outstanding. You cannot fail to be dragged along by the scruff of your neck and by your balls into this helter-skelter world of uber violence, and you're going to love every single, bone-crunching moment of it. At the end of this movie, the unthinkable happens, because they've beaten off the adjudicator, who then says, "Okay, all right, you've made a point now. You've made it on the rooftop. There's hundreds of bodies all over the premises, hundreds." And the adjudicator will say, "Right, well, okay, you made a point. You've proved that Continental is worth fighting for. I like that. So Winston's job is safe, and Sharon is safe. But what about him, John Wick? Oh man, so Winston, John Wick's just fucking saved your ass." He turns around and goes, "John, I'm sorry, there's no other way." Bang, 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 bang. Already battered, already bruised, already shot to bits. John Wick, covered in blood, gets shot off the fucking roof of the Continental New York, hurtles down, hitting, them fire escapes, them zigzag fire escapes in New York City, down the side of these fucking high rises. Bang, hits one of them, hits another roof, but hits the deck. You're like, "You bastards. How dare you?" He's just fought, to the last for you. But that's the world we live in. So, the adjudicator, I can't say that word, adjudicator goes to look for his body. The body's not there. Because, no surprises, this is the Baba Yaga, the bogeyman of bogeymen. And he survived. And he's been dragged back to Lawrence Fishburne, who survived the 7 cuts. And he's all hacked up and that, like. And he says, "John, I don't know about you, but I'm pissed off." "Are you pissed off?" "Yeah, pissed off." So it's now going to be war. The next chapter is just all out war. And then a clever little move, because John Wick's cut that finger off. And Lawrence Fishburne goes like, "John, I see you lost a finger." and his other hand comes up like that. It's just awesome stuff. Folks, if you've got a drink, raise it now in honour of Keanu Reeves. And the great soundtrack which has been playing to John Wick 3. Tyler Bates, who has a checkered career with Hollywood, being a bit of a plagiarist, but his techno, urban, funk, pulsating, percussive, driving, relentless beat of music fits the film perfectly, and I love it. I'm just going to put another classic track on. Well, I've got about a minute left. This is Psycho Samurais. And it's exciting. I love my orchestral soundtracks, but sometimes you need something which is urban, which is just driving, percussive, electronic. And this works perfectly for a modern day milieu of hyper-violence and urban aggression. I'm sorry, a fly just went past then. We have had such a downpour in the last few hours. and it's still hot. We've had really gorgeous weather, and all of a sudden it changed overnight, and it became a fucking torrential deluge. Honestly, it's like being back in Vietnam now for another tour, because it's so hot as well. And it plays havoc with your hair. You know what I mean, girls? Yeah, you know what I mean. I mean, look at that. It's all gone. Alright. So let's listen to this. Psycho Samurais. We're going to cut out in about 2 minutes then. Speeding down a bridge. He's on a bike this time. Keanu gets hit by cars and slammed all over the place. His body must be, well, unless you're a T800, you know, hyper alloy combat chassis, you're going to be a fucking mess. And he does most of his stunts as well, apart from the impacts with the cars. But that's all fighting. There's tons of videos on YouTube, tons of videos on the discs themselves, the Blu-rays, showing the training he goes through. Nice reference to the Matrix guns, lots of guns. And I mentioned the good, the bad and the ugly earlier, the building of a gun. There's another homage too. To find the Elder, you have to go out in the desert and walk until you're about to die, and then get up and walk some more. And if he wants to find you, he'll find you. Now that is a callback to the good, the bad and the ugly, where Clint Eastwood, as the good, is cast adrift in the desert and almost reaches the point of death. Very similar. Only Keanu Reeves, John Wick, does it in a suit, a Kevlar lined suit, in that heat, you know. John Wick 3, folks. Fucking get on it. If you haven't seen the first two, do so, and then get to watch John Wick 3. It is adrenalized fucking fury. Concentrated, focused, and absolutely totally addictive. Folks, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to see you all later. Will Sarah be dressing tactical or casual? Tactical. Folks, John Wick 3. Get on it now! See you later!